Yo, what's going on, guys? We're in that the Pistons still have interest in Tobias Harris. Now, we do know that they are leaning towards keeping Bojan Bogdanovic and Alberts through the trade deadline for the second straight year in a row. But we are hearing the persistent rumor that they're interested in Tobias Harris, which who can blame them? He's a guy that they seem to be quite fond of within the building. And this report's coming from James L. Edwards of the third of The Athletic. Now, the exact report we're hearing is that the Pistons are continuing to look for ways to upgrade their roster ahead of the trade deadline. Now, before we continue, I do not believe that Tobias Harris will be traded. I think he'll stay in Philadelphia. Now, if he were to be traded, that means Joel Embiid's season's done and they're trying to gain assets to try to like retool for next season and try to go hard. But my thought is James L. Edwards is saying one player the Pistons are looking at, of course, is familiar face, Tobias Harris. And he's making like $37 million. Detroit could trade for Harris before the deadline, but they remain committed to not overpaying for a veteran. This is partially due to the fact that we saw that Zach LaVine never really got far in talks to go to Detroit. And another thing is Detroit knows that Harris is someone that they could pursue in free agency. Harris isn't going to be an unrestricted free agency or unrestricted free agent in July, assuming he doesn't sign an extension. Now you're wondering, what has Tobias Harris done this year? And this would just be bringing a guy who's a winner, a guy who can be a veteran and put some points. So this year he averaged 18 points. Last year, Tobias averaged 15. He went from last year was kind of a fourth option. This year he's back to being the third option, but as of late, the last two games he's been putting up close to 30 points. And we saw when he was a second option, he's a 20 points per game scorer, and even with the Pistons, and he's been a guy who he can put buckets up. Okay, a guy who has a career average of 16 points, 48% from the field, 37 from three, grabs about 6 rebounds, dishes out 3 assists a night. And Tobias, he's a durable guy. He's an above average scorer, very offensively talented to score at all three levels, making $39 million, my apology, this year. And he's a very efficient with his shot. He can be a matchup guy because he's too quick for most power forwards, and he has the post up game to go up against wings. Not really with a small ball 5 though. And he can defend multiple positions, but he's kind of so at it. And if he's not having a great game, he can go a little invisible. But again, I think when you look at 6'8" shooters like M31, a team like the Pistons, him, Bojan Bogdanovic, and Cade Cunningham, that already sounds better than what they have now. So I could see the rationale or the thinking behind, hey, we should probably go out and get somebody like Tobias Harris, because in my opinion, they would definitely benefit from it. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments.